I'm always looking on the internet, still to this day, on social media and YouTube. I'm still on the lookout for videos that pique my interest about Islam and especially converts, because you'll notice if you're in the Muslim community or an ex-Muslim or anyone interested in this, you will notice that white converts are like gold dust to the Dawa people. They really love to push white people who convert to Islam. They love to pretend that there's just this avalanche of Western women like just giving up their life and becoming Muslim. Now that's a bit of a smokescreen because it's not like that at all, but they rely so much on propaganda and emotional tactics and shock tactics to spread their message. So my kind of take on the whole thing, my angle is to come and show you, just give you one example of actually what goes on a lot of the time behind the scenes that these Dawa people do not like to speak about and actually just completely avoid. You will see videos of women sharing their stories or converts, but you will rarely hear the dark side, the other side. And I think when you can get a fresh take from someone who's been through it and come out the other side and has a whole load of stories to tell you now and a lot of experience to speak about, I want to share that. I want to actually shed light on that. And I was scrolling through, like YouTube, and this video popped up in my recommended actually. And it's this lady who is she's a convert to Islam, and she obviously is white, as a lot of them seem to be white women. And she's actually made a video explaining why women love Islam, and she's offering her own explanation as to why women supposedly love Islam, or why women convert to Islam. Because, as I said, I don't know the actual statistics, but I do think that women might be the biggest demographic of people that, especially white women, might be one of the biggest demographics of people to convert to Islam. And she's going to give her own reasons and her own personal reasons as to why we see this phenomena of white women becoming Muslim. Because the reason I chose this one specifically, because there's quite a few I saw, but what I like about this one is she's kind of a classic poster convert. Like, she's white, she's a woman, she's very sweet in her personality, she seems like a nice person, and she's, as I said, she is like the face of converts that Dawa people like to push out and bring more people into Islam. But not only that, present Islam to the West as this palatable, pacifist, inclusive, progressive religion, when deep down, those of us who are familiar with it, Muslims and non-Muslims, those who have, I'd say, more than a surface level of knowledge about Islamic theology, we know that that's not true. So yeah, but even as I said, this is all about presenting an image to the rest of the world so that we are more tolerant of Islam. I'm going to react to what she's saying from an honest, I'm not saying she's not honest, but from my honest perspective on actually what's going on. And I'm going to react to her. But please don't send this lady any hate. I'm not hating on her. I'm just giving a counter reaction, a counter analysis. So I've yapped enough. So let's just go to the video.
Islam is literally the fastest growing religion in the world. Every single year, so many people choose to convert.
Guys, it's the fastest growing religion in the world because of birth rates. I just had to put that out there. It's not because of people believing in the theology and converting
to Islam, and the majority of them are women. So in this video, I will dive into the reasons why so many women choose to become Muslim, as well as some of the benefits that come with converting to the faith. I really hope that this video will provide you very valuable insight and some good information. So let's dive right in and find out why women are so attracted to Islam. Islam places a very strong emphasis on spirituality and connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And a lot of women, including myself, find this connection very meaningful and fulfilling. I personally was amazed when I found out that My faith is between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a very personal connection and it's a very strong bond. It doesn't require any outsiders in it. It's just between you and your creator. And this
Okay, so straight from the get-go here, I don't understand why that's gender specific. I mean, I can't say that there's anything about Islam, Islamic spirituality that would apply more to women than to men. As I said, it's not like God is closer to women than to men. He's pretty much treats, in terms of how he views humans, I think he actually thinks men, he actually says he designed men to be a degree above women, and that they are superior in ways because, you know, they don't have a menses. And I've even heard Islamic scholars say that there is an actual implication of that hadith or that Quran verse where God describes, because of the fact that men actually can practice their faith easier than women. So we are deficient in faith in the eyes of Allah. So I wouldn't really say that God makes women feel better. In fact, he says quite a lot of nasty, horrible things about women. I think even God, and also God never actually really addresses women directly. He always addresses us through men, through the context of men, through the lens of men. You know, women are always secondary in nature to men in in the Quran. God specifically usually just refers to men. So for me, I don't think there is anything spiritually that gives women an edge in Islam. I think actually it's quite the opposite.
practicing Islam gives you a sense of purpose and direction, because when you become Muslim, you really understand your place in this world and your purpose in this life. Appreciate the fact that we are able to explore our faith on our own terms at our own pace. And it's incredibly empowering and uplifting. I understand that I am on my own journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in so many different ways. Everything is very clear. It's very straightforward and easy to follow. It gives you answers to any question you may have. You can think of whatever question, Islam has the answer. And that's what attracted me to the faith, to the religion. It's so wholesome, it's so complete, it's a way of life. And it's designed, it came directly from God, alhamdulillah. And it's designed to make sure you live as a human being, you live fulfilling and successful and mindful and inshallah rewarding life, and you do good in this world. And
I'm going to agree with her here. Absolutely. This is one of the biggest draws to Islam. It's the full package. It's a whole new way of living, complete with a community. You don't have to think anymore for yourself. Allah tells you what to do. And not just that, as I said, you've got plenty of human beings to actually reinforce Islam on this planet. She's not wrong. That's a draw for many people to the religion. Whether you agree with that or not is beside the point, but that definitely is a factor. And here she's saying it herself. And as she said, it's literally in Islam, every aspect of your life is mapped out. I offer the kind of flip side to that now. So basically, she is saying it in a good way, but I will flip the other side and say that actually it can be detrimental to just walk into something and be handed everything on a plate. Self-inquiry is really healthy for personal development, and having all the answers is not actually necessarily a good thing. There are some times in your life where you are required to go and find your own truth, as woke as that sounds, but there are times when you are required to actually do the work on yourself if you want to make progress in your life, or if you want to even build a better society at large. Because when we all think and we come together and come up with new solutions, you know, we allow human society to evolve. and move with the times, that's beneficial. But in Islam, that whole package deal, which never changes, is something that attracted me. It was so attractive. But now I know better. I know, I know better now. But back then, and for a lot of converts, they don't know. They don't understand the dynamics in that.
Islam promotes gender equality, which basically means that both men and women are equal in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which means that both men and women are awarded the same rights and privileges under Islam. Islam granted women so many rights that were not afforded to women of other faiths and other cultural backgrounds at the time of its revelation. For example, Islam gives women the right to education, the right to own and inherit property, the right to keep her own last name, the right to divorce and custody of the children. A lot of those rights were unheard of in other societies back in the day. And knowing this, that women are so respected and valued and honored and protected under Islam, of course, that makes Islam very attractive to women of all walks of life.
No, it doesn't give equal rights to girls. This is a really fake selling point that they push, but no, it doesn't actually. And I don't know if she is that well versed on her Islamic knowledge, but it really doesn't. Women and men are not considered to be equal in terms of their roles, their gender roles. They're equal, yes, in terms of their belief in the eyes of Allah. So really, you're equal in terms of are you a believer or not. But no, women and men are not afforded the same rights at all, and they are not even. There's no emphasis on men and women should be the same. That's actually modern Muslims who have absorbed liberal values and have actually lived in cultures or come into contact with the feminist movement, and they've modified it and sold it and changed it to fit their own narrative, because obviously when you live in the West, that proximity of meeting different people will, that's normal. That's what humans do. You start to absorb the values of people around you. So Muslims in the West, or smart Dawa Muslims, have over time sort of adapted the message. All of this stuff about gender equality is a byproduct of the feminist movement and other things that took place in the 20th century, really, where women and men's roles were changing in society, and these are things that sort of emerged from that. Islam, it treats women and treats men as traditionally as you would expect. It reflects the time that it was revealed, i.e. a 7th century. It's pretty representative of that time, but it's us who retrospectively, insert our Western or modern values. And that's what, as I said, it's very representative of the time that it was revealed, or the time that Islam was made.
And if you took a moment to research, do very basic research, you would be enlightened.
I did my research and it drove me away from the religion. So explain that. I'm not being bigoted or prejudiced. I found this from the Islamic sources themselves. So no, not everyone who thinks that Islam oppresses women or that Islamic theology is misogynistic is bigoted. People have done their research and they have come to that conclusion for valid reasons. So
I was amazed by what I found. By looking at all the rights and privileges that Muslim women get.
And when I was watching this, something that came to my mind was, but we have rights in the West as well. Like, it's not like we don't have these rights already.
Islam offers a sense of community and belonging. Islam provides a framework of social and moral relationships that encourages Muslims to support and help one another. And this sense of community and belonging is very, very important for women who choose to convert to Islam.
Again, she's not wrong. That's true. There is a huge sense of community and you will find it, but I'm not saying that it will always be the most supportive, but people have found a sense of community. And yeah, that's definitely a drawing point.
When I first converted to Islam, I was completely struck and amazed by how quickly Muslims jumped to help me in whatever way that I needed. I received gifts from other Muslims, including a prayer mat and multiple Qurans. And these gifts were very thoughtful and generous. And of course, they helped me grow as a Muslim woman.
I don't want to doubt the intentions of those people. I'm sure some were genuinely thrilled, but this is very similar to what is known as love bombing. When you overwhelm someone with gifts and affection and love, it's a manipulation tactic to get people in, because what that does is when you're being gifted and loved and, you know, loved on and given all these lovely things and welcomed, and it actually creates a memory in your mind which also sets off a chemical reaction. So you'll get that increase of dopamine, maybe oxytocin, and obviously a very firm memory will form in your mind of basically reward. As I said, dopamine chemical is the reward chemical, the reward reaction within the mind. And your brain actually remembers that time as something very rewarding. So inevitably, it's not going to last forever. They will not always be giving you gifts and love and showering you with praise. That's a very initial stage of the process of converting. But in your brain, that memory is now ingrained and you will be constantly trying to get that high back. That's why it's love bombing, and that's why it's a manipulation tactic, because it hooks you in and then you are forever chasing that feeling again until you wise up, until you understand what's happening and you overcome it. And I'm not saying they intentionally manipulate people. I think it's just the dynamic of the faith itself, that it's so people are so welcomed and accepted no matter who they are. But as I said, you could say that's love bombing, and that's not the healthiest way to enter into any community or any situation.
Having a strong community and seeing the incredible relationships that are formed between Muslims and how we are there to help and uplift each other out, and we're willing to do whatever it takes just to help another person, that's wonderful. And it's a very attractive quality when you are as an outsider who is thinking about of converting to the faith, and you see how tight-knit the community is and how kind and helpful people are. Of course, you can't help but admire that.
I mean, she's right. It's very attractive, but always bear in mind that that can be easily taken away if you ever decide to leave the faith. So keep that in mind, that or the rug can be really pulled from under your feet. And remember that that community could become quite judgmental because they'll all be reinforcing Islamic beliefs and behavior. So it's not all lovey-dovey, but I will admit it is supportive and it's a huge draw for a lot of people.
Or it's a sense of belonging in a Muslim community, in a community that will always have your back. Islam is so attractive to women, and why so many women choose to convert to Islam, whether it's the spiritual fulfillment that is appealing to them, that you get from a personal connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether it's gender equality that Islam promotes, alhamdulillah, that will always uplift and help you out when you need it the most. All of those things attracted me to Islam, and I know I'm not alone.
You know, when she says she's not alone, she's right. She's not alone. Many people feel that way, including me. It's quite scary, actually, how many of our stories are so similar. Muslim converts, we have a really similar trajectory that kind of leads us to becoming Muslim. And everything she said there is actually, I agree with a lot of what she's saying. The only difference now is I don't anymore agree with the propaganda about equal rights, or like the fact that the community is so welcoming, that's just something to be so like. Now, as an ex-Muslim convert, I actually have done that deep dive, more or less, to work out why it wasn't as wonderful as it was sold to be. Some people actually don't care about that kind of thing. All they care about is, am I getting my social needs met? Do I have a community? Do I have people that have got my back no matter what? Some people actually like that, and they're not interested in deep dive inquiries into theology. They're sold this superficial stuff and they buy it and they don't care, and they're happy in their way of life that they found. But I always think it's important to counter that narrative, because that's one particular mindset that is happy to accept this. But trust me, there are so many people, so many women who enter into this faith and then they completely regret it. They completely regret it. They're sold this lie. And then by the time you've got kids, by the time you're settled in, some people move abroad. I've heard horror stories of women moving abroad, getting trapped, and really having to fight their way back to the West. Don't watch videos like the one I just showed and just buy it. Always do a deep dive inquiry. My reaction to it is the other side of Islamic dawah, the other side of converting to Islam. I hope my reaction gave a bit of insight, and I hope you enjoyed watching this reaction video. And as always, if you are considering becoming Muslim, please research the religion as much as you can and listen to people who've left the religion, especially if you're a woman and you're considering converting for marriage or moving abroad. Please take your precious time to really think about what you're doing. Because anyway, guys, thank you for watching if you watched, and I wish everyone the best, and I will see you all again soon. Thank you.